Greetings, Exiles. I am Cod Raziel, and I am finally ready to give my thoughts on how Siege Ballista and Iron Commander have held up to all the nerfs and whatnot. I personally welcome this flask change. We get a lot less damage from our flasks, and this is probably the most notable change for us. I decided to go with a battery of defensive flasks and just leave it at that. So let's just go over the gear and whatnot, and then I'll probably just tack on some gameplay at the end. So obviously no Siege Ballista build is complete without Iron Commander. Iron Commander gives us 1 additional totem per 200 dexterity. The next most important item I would say is High-Res Demise, which gives us 1 to 2 cold damage per 10 dexterity, which we end up stacking a lot of. Next we have Fractal Thoughts. This league I've decided to go with a dash has +2 cooldown uses enchant, and we'll go over a bit more about why that is later on. I managed to pick up this Circle of Fear for reasonably cheap, and 7% dexterity, flat dexterity in the base, and the regular affixes. Why do these words escape me at the moment? Anyway, yeah, it's got a lot of dexterity, a lot of cold damage with Herald of Ice, and a decent amount of cold resistance too, which ends up being part of an important need for this build. Astramentus. It takes a hell of an amulet to beat Astramentus, and I haven't been able to make it yet, so I just sit with my Astramentus, which has Shaman's Dominion anointed onto it. For my ring, my other ring, I just have dexterity and resists because I was desperate for resists. Another very important item in the build is Garakan's Flight. If you can, you should get the crit chance if you haven't crit recently enchant on it. This is kind of the same for just about any totem build likes this crit chance if you haven't crit recently, because our totems crit, not us. Next I'm using a Cyclopean Coil, and this is part of the reason it's difficult to replace Astramentus as an amulet. I did the math a while back, and Astramentus basically just gives us too much from all of the attribute stacking gear that we have. Especially, you're getting 1% increased damage per 5 of your lowest attribute, and Astramentus raises your lowest attribute by like 150, so you're getting all the damages from that, pretty much. For my gloves this time I went very simple. Basically just pure dexterity and fist converted to cold. And that is the gear, and yeah, gotta have that trinket. Now in my weapon swap for this league I decided to do something a little bit different because Empowers and Enlightens and stuff was so prohibitively expensive. I grabbed myself an Arborix, and Arborix is really nice for the dashes. So paired with our Fractal Thoughts, we're now able to dash pretty well, and we're pretty quick when we're dashing. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind that. So next up, let's go over my gem configuration, which is probably a bit different from the other Siege Ballista builds out there. First of all, our Siege Ballista is linked with increased crit damage because it's actually quite nice now. Cold Pen, added cold, 80 damage with attacks, and life tap, just so that we don't have to worry about mana at all. Next in our boots we have Herald of Ice, because without it Circle of Fear wouldn't really work, would it? We have Hatred, because that's all the damages for us as well. And we have Anomalous Arctic Armor. What the Anomalous causes is for you to have a chance to freeze enemies for 350 milliseconds when hit, which isn't long, but it is long enough to save us a lot of the time. And then I've just got an Enlighten in there, so I have some mana, which will make more sense when we go into the passive tree. In our gloves, I have Molten Shell, Vol Molten Shell, in fact, linked with increased duration, life tap, and enhance, just to really increase the size of the buff. And the reason for this is because we get a bit of armor from each of our totems with the Ironwood passive, and we just end up stacking armor a whole bunch that way. And that ends in us having like a way to avoid one-shots when we know the danger is coming. It's not for everyone to build this way, but this is how I decided to do it. Oh, I forgot about my chest. Pretty much just percent dex, and on the grasping mail you have a chance to get this modifier, 1% increased attack speed per 25 dexterity. I decided to go that route because during last league I wasn't really able to do it, so I'm doing it this time. And then I've also crafted armor during soul gain prevention onto it. And the reason for that is we have Vol Molten Shell. So we pop our Vol Molten Shell and then we switch straight back to regular Molten Shell, and we get 32 seconds of soul gain prevention time. And I'm being spammed at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. And yeah, so this is kind of a weird way of building it, but it's been kind of fun to do it this way, and the Molten Shell definitely helps me survive a lot of the hits from boss fights and stuff like that when I know it's coming. Let's take a look at the passive tree. First of all, the Hierophant nodes. We take Ritual of Awakening because, of course, we get so much extra damage from taking Ritual of Awakening, and we get an extra totem from Pursuit of Faith. Conviction of Power is actually much better for us now, basically setting our minimum endurance and power charges to 4 and then giving us 4 endurance and power charges, which does really nicely with the armor stacking idea that I've gone with here. Next we take Divine Guidance, mainly for the Transfiguration of Mind. The other options didn't really make sense to me, so that's pretty much what I did. Let's go over the passive tree here a bit. Picking up life and totem damage and a bit of dexterity as we do. The first notable thing comes in that we're using a fluid motion to come out of this entire area, getting dexterity instead of strength. We pick up the Agnostic because we're not using our mana and we have insane mana regeneration, so why not turn that into life regeneration. I then picked up Dynamo, which is another thing that isn't common of these builds, and this is just to reduce the cooldown of our Molten Shell quite a bit and also increase its duration. Next we take a long pilgrimage down to the good part of the tree for us, slotting in our Rain of Splinters, which was quite expensive this league. But yeah, that is there. We then head on down to the duelist side of things for our Brutal Restraint area, picking up Golem's Blood, Cloth and Chain, Adamant, whatever is giving you the most from your Brutal Restraint. We're quite flexible around this area. You can even take the Endurance charge and then get minimum Endurance charges on one of your rings. That's not terrible, and that's what I was doing for a lot at the start. And Panopticon gives us another totem, so we take it, and we just head on all the way in there. Fangs of Frost gives us a decent amount of cold pain and damage, as well as increasing the effect of cold ailments, which will come into play later on as to why that's important. We also pick up Winter Spirit. The Iron Commander gives some physical damage per 25 dexterity, and that does end up adding up when you get to the high dexterity amounts. We then just take some bow crit and watchtowers, which makes it so that our totems both can't be frozen and that we can have another totem, and we get a bit of extra movement speed from it. This is just a regular jewel I was using to finish out my resists. Something else better could probably go in there, but that's the way it is now. And then I've got, at the very end of my tree here, a large cluster jewel with Blanketed Snow and Cold to the Core, which both increase our damage substantially. And in there we have one medium cluster jewel for effective non-damaging ailments. which has Blast Freeze, which helps us survive quite a lot, and Astonishing Affliction, just to increase the effect and duration of our ailments a bit more. And then we also have another sort of totem staple here for a lot of builds this league. Medium totem damage cluster jewel with Sleepless Sentries and Ancestral Echo. I was lucky enough to get an extra 5 dexterity on there as well. Right, so that is the passive tree. So I must have missed a skill. Yeah, I missed this one. So we have our dash with the life tap and second wind. And the frost bomb is also in there just in case I missed the first one. And then we have a weird setup in here. We have Anomalous Cold Snap, the effect of which is a lot of increased effect from chill. We have Awakened Unbound Elements because it was pretty damn cheap. Sniper's Mark because there was nowhere else to put it in the sockets. Bone Chill, which gives us a substantial amount of damage increase based on our chill effect, which is why we're using Cold Snap. Cold Snap also generates frenzy charges for us, since as long as we create the area, we get the frenzy charge from anything that dies in that area. Life Tap, obviously this is a Life Tap build, so everything needs Life Tap, and then Enhance, just to increase the effect of the Cold Snap and the Sniper's Mark. And that ends up giving us a substantial amount of our damage, as well as chilling the enemies by a whole bunch. If we have a look at our Cold Snap, am I weapon swapped? Or am I just not seeing it yet? Ah, weapon swapped. So yeah, if we look at our Cold Snap here, and we go to, it's in offense, our chill effectiveness is plus 197. This caps at 30% with a base of 10%, so you need 200% to boost it all the way. So we're almost there. And yeah, that's pretty much how things go here. Sniper's Mark, of course, just boosting our damage quite a bit. And let's see what I have to demonstrate the build. I guess just a map then. What's going on here? Let's just take any old map and sort of get the playstyle down a bit here. Tien's End or New Vestir preferably. Okay, so here's, alright, that's been witnessed. Let's grab this one here, a residence. And yeah. Wallet. Okay, that's good enough. Just to sort of show you guys how the mapping goes. I am currently looking for sulfite, so this works out for me. Somewhere my phone is ringing. Oh well. Like this flask change is just super comfortable. Just pressing 2 and 3 rather than pianoing off. And we also don't really care that much about it. As you can see, we have about a 6,000 molten shell, which is available to us fairly often. And we just sort of, when we enter a room without totems in it, then we pop out molten shell and everything is good. This is the first time I'm trying to talk through one of my maps. And we also get freeze immunity from Cyclopean Coil, so we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, for a pretty cheap budget, I've been able to do just about all the in-game content. except for my one friend's Cirrus encounters. For some reason, whenever I do his Cirrus encounters, I die. I only really go into those if they have like juicy things in the vol vessel. That one does not, so we move on. And now since we are sort of backtracking here, we can weapon swap to our other dash and have a good time. So this is a scenario in which having our molten shell out is essential, because bubble boys aren't going to die immediately. Sulfite. I'll mainly switch to Arborix when I'm backtracking or traveling through an empty part of the map, or like when I'm running away in a heist. But as you can see, we can just about clear with Arborix if we want. Gives us extra projectiles and stuff if we haven't dashed as well. It looks like a juicy expedition is about to happen here. Anyway, I'd love to know from you guys what you'd like to see. I have been streaming, but I have only been streaming Monster Train because I don't know, I find it boring to just play Path of Exile quietly on stream. If that's not the case, please do let me know. Otherwise, I'll just continue to make Monster Train the thing I stream, because it's a lot easier to keep talking while you're playing Monster Train. That seems good enough. We'd like to see exotic coinage all over the place. I wouldn't mind seeing some logbooks, to be honest. I haven't seen one in a while. Speaking of which, it handles logbooks just fine unless you make them immune to cold. Yeah, it's not the fastest build out there, but I think that it's a very smooth build to play. And there's a lot to be upgraded from here. But whether or not I get around to that is anybody's guess. Those guys can just be there, I guess. Still working on the timings of my molten shell a bit, yeah. But yeah, smooth. We missed the sulfite deposit as well. Oops. This is when we switch to our Arborix. Arborix also gives us iron reflexes, which increases our armor quite a bit. Weird little side extra there. This is more of an advertisement for Arborix than it is for Siege Ballista. But yeah, Siege Ballista has held up quite nicely and I've been enjoying the league. I just haven't really been streaming or creating content because like it's pretty much the same old thing. Right. Doing Siege Ballista again. Siege Ballista still works. Big surprise. But But anyway, yeah, that is the build. If you have any questions on the build or anything like that, please let me know in the comments. Also, please let me know if you would like to see some Path of Exile streams or anything like that. Because, yeah, so far, I guess I haven't told anybody that I was streaming. But also, yeah, just let me know. Would you like to see more Path of Exile streams? Would you like to see more Path of Exile videos? And if you would, what sort of topics would you want to see them on? Yeah, that is pretty much it for this build. I'll probably keep playing it because I do want to get all these challenges done, because this is a pretty cool portal effect. And yeah, if I get it upgraded quite a bit more, then I'll do a sort of final thoughts on it. But right now, yeah, Siege Ballista works. It's a fun build to play. Let's hope it stays that way. It's survived nerfs all the way since Legion League, having to be changed slightly every league. And yeah, I'm happy if it stays that way because it's not that much of an overpowered build. It does require decent investment and it's fun. So anyway, thank you for watching. Good luck and stay juicy. And like and subscribe. And watch me on Twitch if you like Monster Train. Write things in the comments about what you want to see and stuff. Good luck, stay juicy.